You guys, we're just going to jump right in. First of all, thank you for spending your Tuesday night. It's Tuesday, right?
It's Tuesday.
I lose track
It's
of my
Tuesday.
days.
It's okay. We're on vacation.
I know. Tuesday night with us, you guys. I want to kind of take some weight off of your shoulders if you're here hanging out with us for the first time, because honestly, we're like a family. And if someone invited you, it's because they saw something in you. They wanted you to be a part of this tribe that has helped Chad and I through so much. It has completely changed our lives. And so we're not here to manipulate the situation. We're not here to talk anybody into anything, because we want we just want you to have the facts. And if it's a good fit for you, that's completely up to you. You know what I mean? But we're really here to share kind of our story, to answer questions, to create a safe place for you to ask questions, because Lord knows Chad and I had a lot of questions when this business was introduced to you. So Chad and I are going to be real and raw in this call, and all we ask is that this is a safe place, that you help create this, because it helped us create that environment, because we're going to get personal. We're not going to hold anything back. We're going to kind of lean in with you guys, and be real about what we've been through, what this team has done for us, what this opportunity has done for us, what it's turned out to be, and what some of our fears were getting into it, and so just kind of help us create that environment. And know, while we're talking, if you have any questions, this environment is safe for you, to ask your questions. There's a lot of people on here that can jump in and answer the question and type, and Chad and I can jump in, and it can just be this happy hour type thing, where we're just hanging out, because that's really what it has become for Chad and I, is that type of, it's bigger than that, than just some opportunity, just some business. It's become like a family business. So even our 6-year-old daughter started making leadership videos last night. So it truly is, it's going to come,
teeth.
Come full circle. So anyway, my name is Sommer Tucker. This is Chad Tucker. And we've been actively, well, let me just go ahead and go back and get real and raw right off the bat. When did you deploy first? For the first 5.5 years ago?
October 17th, 2010.
Well, gosh, he didn't forget that date, did he? I guess I kind of want to forget that date. But what I won't forget, and never will forget, is standing in that hangar before he deployed for the first time, and holding on to him tight, and like literally being scared to let go, because I was afraid of what he would feel like. I was afraid I'd forget that. I was afraid I'd forget what he smelled like. I was afraid that he would forget that of me. I was afraid of the distance, and I was afraid of being alone. So during a time that everybody was saying, be strong, it was actually a time that I felt the weakest. And time stood still in that hangar as I watched our 4-year-old kind of salute Chad as he taxied away, and one tear fell down Griffin's face. And he looked like he was trying to be strong for me, and I was falling apart on the inside. That drive home from base, that is really only 30 minutes, felt like an absolute eternity, listening to those sobs in the back seat and asking myself, how did I get here? Chad and I were high school sweethearts, and this was never part of my plan, so to speak.
I married you and then took you in.
It was never, and so it was a very scary time for me. My life, I had always had it kind of figured out, I thought, and then to be left alone with a 10-month-old and a 4-year-old, and climbing into that cold bed every single night felt like something heavier and heavier and heavier was sitting on my chest. And for the first time in my life, I felt hopeless. I felt like I didn't know how I was going to make it through the next 7 months. And how am I going to do this for the next 20 years? You see, Chad and I were over $100,000 in debt. We had definitely lived in the red, well beyond our means for our married life. And the income was fixed for us. And I started to feel trapped, and like we were slowly drowning in debt. I don't know if any of you guys have ever felt that way, but for Chad and I, it started to dig a wedge in between our relationship, the stress of being apart, the stress of being a mom by myself, the stress of being in a place where I didn't really know that many people. So I think it's from 7,000 miles away, Chad could definitely start to see it wearing on me. And for the first time in our life, the first time in our marriage, we probably both started to question it a little bit. As hard as that is, we didn't want to admit it at the time, right? But the resentment, the anger inside me started to really, really build up. And so I went through the motions and almost adopted this "it is what it is" mentality. For the first time in my life. I had never settled and let that overcome me. But during that time, when I started to slip into a depression and where getting out of bed was really, really tough for me, I slipped into an "it is what it is" mindset, and I started to go numb until one day when I was walking down the stairs, after a long night with our 10-month-old who didn't sleep very well, and I remember it clear as day, winding down the stairs to go start the pot of coffee, because that's really how I survived during that time. Because everything sat on top of me, and it seemed like everything broke and went wrong as soon as you left. So
including the washer and dryer.
Everything. I do. And so do I remember that? Yeah. Do you guys believe me just at, do I remember that? Yes, I remember that. I'm surprised you do. So anyway,
I remember the conversation.
As I was walking around the corner, I saw this quote that I've seen a million times, you guys. But for some reason, it boom, it stopped me right in my tracks and almost shook me. And the quote was, "If you want something different, you have to do something different." Now, the thing is I've read that so many times. I had said it numerous times to people, but what stuck out at me was the word "you." If you want something different, you, Sommer, you have to do something different. And for those 2 months that I struggled, I was waiting for him to do something different. I was waiting for someone to rescue me. I was feeling sorry for myself. I was slipping deeper and deeper into that "it is what it is" mindset. This is just kind of the way it is, what we've been dealt. Yeah. And it was at that moment that I felt like I was shook. And I realized I'd been praying and praying, good Lord, get us out of this. How did we get here? Help me. I mean, I was searching ways to get out of the military. How sad is that? So not patriotic, right? So anyway, and it was at that moment that he shook me. He said, "I gave you an opportunity. It's at your fingertips. It's up to you to do something with it." Holy crap. It was at that second, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I call myself business stupid. I graduated with a criminology degree because I wanted to get out as fast as I could so I could follow him into the Marine Corps. I didn't know how was I going to do this. And that might be what some of you guys are thinking. We're going to cover that. But I didn't know how I was going to do it. All I knew was I had this why that was burning deep inside of me, that I can't spend the next 20 years by myself. I knew in my heart that that's not, it is what it is. It's not what it is. I had something to bring our head above the red. I just was failing to see the potential in it. All my fears around it. You guys, I had been a coach for a year at this point and done nothing with it. And it's at that moment that everything changed, including our relationship, which is probably the biggest blessing of all. So fast forward 5 years, and the business has built to a place where Chad was able to walk away from the military at 10 years comfortably, to start investing in property, to build his own real estate investment business, and a place where we do travel and homeschool our kids. We've been in Florida for a few weeks. Before that, we were in South Carolina. And the freedom to figure out what tracks we want to leave, what torch we want to carry, and to see that develop all came at the fingertips of this opportunity. And that's the coolest thing to me. We've created a 7-figure business that has allowed us to build houses in Nicaragua. It's allowed us to help people that can't help themselves, and to create financial freedom that I never thought was possible, being that we were living on credit cards. So that's it. That's our story in a nutshell. And my insides do flips thinking about where we came from. And where it took us and how it brought us back together, because you guys, while he was 7,000 miles apart, our conversations changed. I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but when I followed him into the military, because it was a burning desire of his to fly and to serve this country, I felt that I had, even though I love our kids and I love being a stay-at-home mom, I felt like I had lost my purpose. I know that sounds bad because my kids are an amazing purpose to have. But I felt like I had lost that fire inside me, like getting out of bed. I was going through the motions. Like I told you guys, I was numb. And that was bleeding into our relationship because I didn't feel like I had anything to add to the conversation. So right away, our conversations changed. The bitterness started to melt off of me, because I felt like I had something to tell him about on the other end when he called, instead of complaining about the washer and dryer that broke and the money that we didn't have to fix it. And I'd be damned if I was going to start, you know what I mean, going old school and washing them by hand, washboard out. Nice. So, but that's our story, just to kind of give you guys a foundation of where we came from, and to give you a look into the journey that we've been through over the last 5 years. Chad, do you want to kind of share where you came from, or you have a different man perspective?
Well, my experience with this whole thing has been rather amazing. I've had a front row seat to this thing, and I've seen it morph into this amazing family that we have now. And I saw it go from really not making much money to really just giving us a whole another life. But I tell people it was really, by the time it was like it was time to get out, we could have got out well before we did. We were financially comfortable. And, for me,
we hit 6 figures in 2.5 years.
Yeah. And we try to stay at that level, and we just try to, be simple, but so we could have moved on. But to know me and my alpha self, and I'm a Marine Corps pilot, and I'm doing these things, and so my identity was wrapped up in that thing. Okay, so coming time to the end, we're coming back from our last deployment, and I had a particularly bad deployment, and nobody died, thank goodness, but it was just awful. Sommer had Ollie, our youngest, on her own. She had moved a couple times. The deployment itself was rough. It just wasn't the last year in the squadron just wasn't going well. Things
even
like
the
that.
Mission was harder, right? Because the length of the flights.
Yeah, and then a whole host of other things were going on. Needless to say, I was a different person coming home, and I had really lost my identity and my purpose, and I had realized that I couldn't go on with military because it was not good for my family, and the direction we were going was not. But at the same time, I'm looking at myself, and I've trained for this thing my whole life, and now I've and I shouldn't have, but I put my entire identity into this thing, and I thought, man, what am I going to do now? What can I do? And that's when I remember coming into the break for that final, coming home from the deployment, and it was just kind of surreal. Like, well, this is the end of this. This is really going to end. And what do I do now? And then that's when, after some time of really sitting there reflecting and getting deep into this team, that they surrounded me and they gave me a purpose and a direction. And so that's where, where my love for this team and love for this business and a love for this community really comes. It really changed the trajectory of my life, and it gave me a purpose greater than myself or some job title or anything like that. It has opened doors to relationships and true meanings with people that you can't put a number on. And that now we're able to give back to the things that we want to give back to. I'm able to continue the fight that we have been, we started with the Marine Corps, and you continue to touch base with people and really touch lives. And that's just the coolest thing I could think of.
And that all developed, you guys, from this community, because in all honesty, it's this family is the reason that I survived those deployments, and the hardship and the emotional struggle for me and for Chad that developed through it. I mean, he didn't share the entire thing, but in that process, he lost sight of his faith, and that was a hard go for us. But because of this team and the way the guys surrounded Chad and, and myself, I guess what I'm trying to say, it's bigger than a paycheck. It's bigger than a paycheck. And to me, there's different needs, and I don't know exactly, because there's 116 amazing people on here, so I don't know exactly what your need is. But what I do know is if you're willing to lean in with us and get real and raw, this team can help serve you through whatever your goals are. Whether it be to find a purpose or it's financial, like Chad and I with that noose around our necks, or that desire to be held accountable at a higher level with your fitness. And that's a piece of the story that Chad hadn't shared yet. But what originally, what originally
under the bus here, man.
What originally spoke to me, and I bet some of you guys are wondering, like, what does it mean to be a coach? I don't have a six-pack, or I don't have it all figured out. And like, good Lord, neither do I. Because for the longest time I pretended that I did. And, I went into personal training a year and a half or 2 years before this opportunity presented itself. And I went into personal training, and it took me a long time to share this, you guys, but I went into personal training to fix myself. I grew up what they called me, big boned is what I was. I was a little thicker than everybody else. And that wore on me, in all honesty, my self-confidence, my self-worth. I used to do chubby checks where I would literally walk around and hold on to the midsection of my body. And I thought, if I went into personal training, maybe there's a piece of knowledge or something that I'm missing, because I was miserable. I was absolutely prisoner to a scale. The scale followed me everywhere. It was like it was handcuffed to my ankle, but I didn't figure it out by becoming a personal trainer. And that started to wear on me because I felt like a fake. And I started to put up these walls and hide. And I became a yo-yo dieter that Chad was witness to. He'd watch me be really strict during the week just to snap on the weekend, just to start. I'll start over on Monday. Ready to start over on Monday. Let's just eat out and get the burger and fries. We'll start over on Monday. I mean, that was a common discussion between us. And I used to cry when I got dressed, when I tried on bathing suits, when I had to try on jeans. Jean shopping was the worst thing. Do you remember shopping with me for jeans?
Horrible.
It was horrible. I would usually leave the dressing room in tears.
We would never get a pair of jeans either.
Yeah, no, never. So I had this horribly warped image of myself, and my idea to become a personal trainer didn't work. So I started to internalize that as something was wrong with me. Why can't I get a handle on this? My self-worth started to go down. So that all kind of, I was running half marathons and doing all kinds of stuff. And that lends a hand to where I was mentally when he deployed for the first time. And I remember when that quote stopped me in my tracks, and I shared that with him. And he said, "Sommer, I think it's time that you apply that same thing to your fitness." And the only reason he said that to me at that time was because he was 7,000 miles away, and he knew I couldn't reach through that computer and hurt him. Right? Yeah. He would have never been brave enough to say that. Yeah, but I'm grateful that he did, because it was literally at that second, you guys, that I decided to throw everything I was doing out the window and pop it in P90X that we had. It was collecting dust. We'd had it for over a year.
We actually did it together.
Across from 7,000 miles away. He said, "I'll do it with you. And oh, by the way, you're going to drink this Shakeology stuff." I was like, "Oh, hell no. No, I'm not. I know the price tag on that. We're already in the red."
Stupid shake or something.
Yeah. we still call it that. It's a joke. Here's your stupid shake. But that's what I called it, because that's where I was mentally. I have to do this. There's a right way and a wrong way. I should be able to figure this out. I should be able to take care of 2 kids, balance the house, and make sure I'm making all these meals completely healthy, to the point that my stress levels were through the roof. My energy was in the crapper, and my cravings were enormous, which was causing my yo-yo dieting. And so that's when he said, Sommer, I need you to trust me on this. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I don't know what else to do. So fine. And it was one of those decisions that, feeling comfortable in my skin, feeling worthy again, feeling in control again, that self-talk started to change, because, you guys, I started to surround myself by people like you. Not people that were perfect, not people that I had to have my guard up and, I had to pretend I had it all together. People that had similar struggles, but were moving in the same positive direction. And it was the most freeing 90 days I have ever participated in. And when Chad came home from that first deployment, for the first time in my life, you guys, I felt like $1 million. And I remember thinking, I was, before they land, all the flags are flying, all the women are dressed in their cute dresses. That was something that before that point, I would have been in tears at the process, thinking about having to do that and shop and the financial stresses of it, and just not being able to find anything that looks good, and the comparison trap that goes with that. What will the other wives look like? And because of those 90 days, because of those women, those that I surrounded myself, because of this guy that supported me from 7,000 miles away, for the first time in my life, I felt free. And I remember thinking, like, every woman deserves this feeling. And it was that moment that I was like, I'm all in. I'm all in, Chad. You know what I mean? If it never makes a flipping dime, I don't care. I'm going to help people through the tools that we have, what has helped me. I'm going to be that person that those women were for me, and I'm going to surround these people that are hurting like me. And that's where this group started.
It's fun to think about that. Yeah, that was the time.
I know. And that's how this all started to develop, And so if you're asking yourself, or saying, if you have this little negative voice in your head that's saying, like, I don't have a 6-pack, or I don't have it all figured out, or I still slip up sometimes, yeah, dang right you do, because you're human.
I think one of the coolest,
we're human.
One of the coolest things at that time is Sommer looked good. She always looks good. She always looked good to me no matter what. But,
yeah, you want to get lucky tonight, don't you?
I'm trying real hard.
That's why you brought the wine.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta.
Sorry, go on.
Okay, I'm blushing now. But anyways. But you could see the difference in her. It was not necessarily her physical, but the kind of the psychological, emotional change in her, that she was excited, and she was excited about this thing that she had done, the completion of that program, and then just this
the
newfound
victory of it, like the self-confidence,
like the new identity that you'd shedded that crap, like you would just like push that BS away, and then you were this like new, like, I don't know. I remember just seeing Sommer just with her shoulders back, and I'm just like, damn.
Chad cracks me. Chad cracks me up because he's always dumbfounded by the husbands or the men that aren't supportive of it, because he's like, dude, I get way more lucky than I used to.
It's that saying. I think my wife says, if you give them what they want, you'll naturally get what you want.
Yeah.
Hint, hint. Foot stop.
So I told you guys we were going to be real and raw, right? We're not holding anything back. So I wanted to cover that, because a lot of people, what do coaches do? Well, I can tell you what coaches aren't. They aren't perfect. They don't have it all figured out. They aren't fitness experts. They
can have a glass of wine.
They're hope givers. They're people that are out there reaching out their hand like, look, take my hand. I believe in you before you believe in yourself. Lean on me a little bit. Let's do this together, which is all I needed. And I ended up in that challenge with 100 people saying, lean on me a little. You don't have to do this alone. It's the first time I've ever not felt alone in this journey. And it's something that, you know, women, I can't speak for men, but we think we got to do it all by ourselves and we have to shoulder it all. And that's something that, I'm sorry, how about lean on your faith? Well, we can talk about that in a second. I definitely believe in leaning on your faith, but maybe they're talking back and forth. Which is, we actually on our team, we have a spiritual group, a spiritual webinar where you can grow in it's a safe place to ask questions, which is another part of our journey in finding our faith as through the Marine Corps and the people that were placed in our life that let us ask those questions as we didn't grow up in a household that talked about that stuff. So we actually have a place for that now. So, and that's totally off topic, but did you have anything to add to that, Chad?
No, but that goes into another topic. But the spider webs from this is just, I think we've already said it a couple of times, but you can't predict where this sucker will go and what relationships you will find, and that that's one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah. So let's talk about the other thing. I'm just trying to hit all the let's call them
questions,
the pain points, the fears, all that kind of stuff, those that you're wondering, like, how, what are the expectations? How much time is this going to take me? I don't have time. My plate's full. I totally get it. Totally get it, because that's how I felt. I had a 10-month-old, a 4-year-old. He was deployed. We had just bought this fixer-upper, which is a really good idea right before your husband deployed. And so I was peeling off wallpaper until 2 a.m. on numerous occasions. Chad's mom and aunt had come down. It was crazy.
It's pretty now.
It is pretty now. But I didn't have a lot of time. And I decided what I told Chad, when he asked me the same question, like, well, hey, babe, where's this going to fit in? I said, I'm going to fit it in the mom cracks. All in doesn't mean all day. And I'm not going to let this thing get my priorities all flip-flopped, because you can't sacrifice your why for your why. So no matter if I had built this business to a place where he was had the freedom to do whatever was on his heart, walk away or stay in, if we didn't have a relationship anymore, what good did it do? And I was lucky to have mentors in my life that taught me that from very early on. And so I worked really hard to fit this in the mom crack. So I started getting up a little earlier. The kids woke up at 7. I needed to get a workout in, and I needed to do what we call a power half hour, which is what we teach you guys. And we guide you through that. We have a recipe that if you follow, not maybe will it work, it will work. The same way the programs, if you follow, the 21-day fix, or hammer and chisel, or hardcore, 22-minute hardcore, if you follow it, it's put together in a certain way that if you follow the recipe, you will get results. It's foolproof.
And that recipe includes not losing all your friends in the process. We
absolutely
teach you in a way that is not, it's not one of the biggest fears we had going into it. And one of the reasons it took you 4 months to say yes was, we had this person at a base we were stationed at the time, that every time we saw this girl, she was a network marketer. She had a program. She had a thing that she wanted to sell. And man, that girl would come in, and we were in like the grocery
we
store.
were ducking.
It was like embarrassing. But
in caps, it was serious.
Yeah, we knew if she cornered us, we were getting sold something, or at least attempt.
And we just had dollar signs on our head to her.
Yeah, we do not do that.
No, well, I was adamant about it, because I didn't want to be that mom or Chad to be that dad. That here you come with your kids to the park or to a party, and you're like, oh crap, here they go. They're going to try to sell us Shakeology.
Well, we just saw a vehicle today. I won't say the company that was on it, but holy crap, this dude had like slogan on the back, slogan down the side, call me number,
yeah,
we're not going to do that.
No. So part of our recipe is teaching you guys how to genuinely find the need and serve them in that. You guys, we're not after me leadership. We're after servant leadership, which is completely something that is, dare I say,
completely gone
in this country. It's lost. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we do it differently. We run social media differently. All those practices, what we teach is not to be icky, because that's what I was so afraid of. So I had decided, I told Chad, when my head hits the pillow at night, I have to feel good about what I did that day. And when my feet hit the floor in the morning, I have to be excited about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to build relationships, who I'm going to love on, who I'm going to serve. and the skills I'm going to have to do that. And so we work really hard, because the most important thing, in my opinion, is integrity and character throughout this process. Character is what you do when no one else is looking, right?
If you get to the finish line alone, then what's the point?
Right.
You got to bring your team with you. You got to bring your people with you. You bring your family and friends with you. That's just the key.
Yeah. So we help. You're not. The crazy thing is, when we started the business, when our team started, 5 years ago, there weren't a lot of tools. We didn't have a lot. We were really failing forward. And over the 5 years, we've developed this with all these great leaders, multiple six-figure earners, seven-figure earners are on our team, multiple people that have left their job to come home to run this full time, and also people that have fitted into the full-time cracks to save money for vacations, to help loosen the noose around their neck with debt. All these different success stories, on our team have come together to create this recipe that really works and feels good, that you can be proud of, a business that you can hang your hat on. You know what I'm saying? A business that you can sit around and talk about and feel good about what you're doing, the people you are serving, and what you're accomplishing. Mm-hmm. And so, and I started doing that in the mom cracks, I guess is what I'm saying. There's different people on our team, depending on what you want to accomplish and how fast you want to accomplish, is how we'll help you build it. I knew I had time. I knew I had 6 years before they would even let him out, unless I could find a loophole, which I tried and I couldn't find one. So I really did. So 6 years, I knew I had time. And so I literally built it on about an hour and a half a day if I had extra time. So it was getting up a little earlier in the morning. It was spending, after, when the kids were down for their nap and quiet time, it was spending 30 minutes to check on people, to serve people, to ask them how I could help, to build those genuine relationships, and then doing the dishes and the laundry in the second half hour that the kids were sleeping. And at night, I'm not going to lie, I gave up some of those distractions that were in my life. I gave up Grey's Anatomy, because my why was bigger than that. So at night I would work for a half hour before I cleaned up the house and put the laundry away and prepared for the next day, and then made sure that I got a good night's sleep. So I woke up the next day ready to tackle it and to be the best mom I could be, because that was one of my priorities. And that's something that we work on this team. In that first coach packet that we work on is, what are your priorities? How can we serve you? And how can we make sure that those are staying balanced while you're building your vision? Does that make sense?
Awesome.
So anyway, did you want to add anything to that?
Nope. It's fun to listen to you.
Yeah. So, but we also have people, and so it took Chad and I 2.5 years to create a six-figure business. We have people that have left their job faster than that, that have created that business so that they didn't have to go back to teaching. There's a few moms that went on maternity leave and built this business while on maternity leave, creating an income so that they didn't have to go back to teaching full time. I mean, we have all different kinds of stories on here. But the thing is you don't have to want to leave your job. You don't, that doesn't have to be one of your goals. Our job is to develop this tribe of people that have this desire for a better community. You know what I mean? For serving people and creating and leading from a really good place, the rooftop, as we call it. Really servant leadership from the rooftop, and figuring out what you want, not what we want. It's not our job to place expectations on you. We'll never do that. Our job is to hear your vision. I mean, when's the last time someone asked you that? I'll never forget when I was asked that. No one had ever asked me that. In my mind, I realized I stopped dreaming. I had started to develop this it is what it is mindset, and this team helped me to create.
Yeah.
I get a little excited that I feel like I got to.
No, I was going to touch on this at the end, but
sure,
she's already started into it. Our vision for this team and for this company is to be a catalyst for serious leadership change in this country. And we truly and honestly believe we can do that. Sommer mentions the rooftop leadership. That means, and that's from a mentor of ours, but what that means is you are stepping out on something here that is bigger than you, and that is awesome. And you might be alone in the dark for a second, but if you keep with us, if you stay with us, you will be part of something else. And he tells this guy named Scott Mann, he tells a story. I'm not going to go into it right now, but he was on a rooftop with his team. He was taking the fight to the enemy, and he was by himself. But over time, as he continued to do this and continued to show this rooftop leadership, continued to change the leadership in the environment in these tribal towns, sooner or later they started seeing other shots, other muzzle flashes on these rooftops. That is this team. We are muzzle flashes in the night, and we're taking the fight to the enemy. And it is the leadership that we're building up from this team is just bigger than just the paycheck. I mean, it is so exciting to Sommer and I. And I know that might be overwhelming, but to somebody, but it just creates something so much bigger than anything you can imagine. It's great.
Yeah, and it's all done by making this connection with people that everybody is craving. And that's what we work on. We're not working on, everybody isn't a dollar sign to us, or, you know what I mean? It's making this connection with people that really, really helps to serve them in their need.
That authentic leadership that creates trust, which has been broken. That trust is why people will follow this girl no matter what she says to do. She says, come with me to the rooftop, do this thing. They're going to come with her because they trust her.
Well, I'm not going to lead you wrong. That's for sure.
Yes.
Everybody knows that my faith comes first, and then Chad, then our kids, and then this business. And so I'm always checking people. Did you go on your date? You've been on date night? You got your phone on airplane mode? You tuning in with your kids? That's what we're about, you guys. And we're about finding that fire inside of you and helping you ignite it. You know what I mean? And supporting you in that, being that person to lean on.
I was one of those guys. I was numb. I was like flatlined, just numb. And then this brought me back. I can't even. Yeah.
So
sorry, getting off on a tangent.
It's okay, but it's okay. But I don't want to keep people on here too long because I know they have stuff to do. Yeah, they got a life. So let's talk about how much it costs. And I know Chad, this is a topic Chad is really passionate about because he's the one that shoved me. Do you know what I mean? I'm the frugal one of the family. Just because I was doing the checkbook. You know what I mean? Like when he was gone all the time and all his obligations with the military, I was the one seeing us living below the red. There was anxiety, and I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but that pressure on my shoulders was huge. And so, when we first started this business, it was just the service fee for us, which was what, Chad? I can't remember, $40, which I remember we put on a credit card. I remember that because everything went on a credit card. Let's just be honest. So we started this business. I mean, it's different now. They have challenge packs. And if any of you guys have purchased a challenge pack, which puts the tools together that give you that, if you follow that recipe, you'll experience the same feeling I experienced when Chad stepped out of his jet for the first time. It's the coolest thing to know when someone purchases a challenge pack, when someone puts all those tools together with the Shakeology, which kind of took the weight off my shoulders, with nutrition. Not that it was a liquid diet, because I didn't believe in those. I refused it, honestly. And if anybody told me to drink 2 shakes a day, I ran the other way because I didn't believe in it. But what Shakeology did for me after he talked me into it and told me, this is what you're doing, and I obeyed, I suppose. It took some of the pressure off for me. It brought me, it gave me a way to fill my nutritional gaps that I had from the fast-paced life. And I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, but with soccer practice and preschool and all the responsibilities of the household, I was being pushed to the back burner. And I was struggling with energy and cravings, and it was really taking a toll on me. So when I added that and filled the nutritional gaps, I was able to stick to a program. You know what I mean? Those energy levels stayed up. My cravings went down. I felt like I was more balanced. And so when I see someone putting all those pieces together with a program that really works, the type of workouts I used to design and teach in gyms, the kind that really challenge you and really develop internal health and that strength and that sense of accomplishment that comes from completing it. And then you surround people by a group of positive, forward-looking, just like amazing people that love you and believe in you. It is a recipe that you will have that same feeling that I had when Chad came home. And so now that we have those challenge packs through Beachbody, which we didn't before, your coaching fee is completely waived. And so if you haven't done that before and you're kind of on the fence with the challenge pack and that kind of stuff, I'm going to nudge you. Give us 30 days. Give it, because you can completely, and we will help you with absolutely no love lost at all. If it isn't the right fit, if it's not the right time, we'll help you get your money back, because we don't want you to waste your money. You don't understand. That's not what we want. We want to team up with some people that become advocates, that are excited, not that are perfect, that are just excited for something different and ready to take ownership of that. And with the challenge pack, that $40 sign-up fee is completely waived. So there's no crazy like $2,000 buy-in, which I've heard, which we wouldn't be here. None of us would be sitting here because our credit cards didn't have $2,000 left on them to invest. Does that make sense? Okay. So, boom. I know that's sad. It feels like a lifetime ago. Thank goodness. A lifetime of stress. But anyway, so that's the cost, and then each month the Shakeology keeps you active as a coach, and you will receive a 25 and enjoy a 25% off discount off of something that is helping you on the journey that you're tackling. And you'll continue, and always, no matter what you decide to do with it. We have some people that come in and say, let me just focus on me for now. Absolutely. You will always have a challenge group to dig into, a coach that puts their arms around you and says, let's go. You'll never be left behind as long as you're willing to show up with us. And sometimes that's where people are ready with just that piece, that extra accountability, and that's what we're here for. Some people are ready to dive in and say, teach me how to share my story. Teach me how to help other people, and to start little by little growing that business. And that's what we can do for just the cost of a challenge pack. And if you already bought one, it just gets completely waived when you sign up. If you're military, you don't pay anything, which is awesome that he provides that. And I love when he came out with that, the CEO came out with that, because he recognized that the military don't make a lot of money. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that there needed to be a plan B for them. Am I missing any points?
I don't think so. I think you hit it. So the monthly fee, and then.
Well, the monthly fee is $16, and that covers your back office and stuff. That covers, you never,
military, that's free as well.
That covers so you not ever taking people's money. You have no inventory. You're not, collecting toilet paper, Shakeology, in your garage or anything like that. And if an order is wrong, or if someone needs to return it or do something, that's not on you. That's on, customer service and coach relations, which you always have access to. And that's what the $16 covers. Yeah. And so, it's really, in all honesty, I remember when Chad really got me to push the I believe button on this, is when he started to share with me his thoughts on the value of having an at-home business, in a book he read by, who's it by?
Andy Botkin, Botkin. It's called How to Lower Your Taxes Big Time. And
so his big thing was, was teaching me, and this is what we talk about on this team, is how to use this business, even if you don't make a dime your first year, but how to help it indirectly help you financially. And I think that's something all of us can get behind. All of us are leaving money on the table, in all honesty. That's how it's been explained to me when it comes from the home business side, where things start to become a write-off, that you don't have all this overhead, you don't have a brick and mortar building, you don't have employees or anything like that, but you have the opportunity to cash in on some tax breaks that otherwise you wouldn't be able to. And even though we're not advisors in this, but all we can do is share our story and what has worked for us, yep. And how it has helped us. So, all right, you guys, we've kept you on here long enough. And I want you guys to know, if you have any questions, you can ask any of us. We are a team. If your husband has questions, or you yourself are a guy that's like, well, how, I need more questions, you can come to us. We are one big, awesome tribe, you know, and we're more than willing to answer your questions when it comes to figuring out if it's a good fit for you. All I know is Chad and our life would be very different if we wouldn't have tried. If we wouldn't have just stepped out in faith, taken this opportunity that was at our fingertips to start doing something different.
Scott Mann calls these kind of moments touch points. So little, small, insignificant moments in your life where you could say yes or you could say no that have, he calls them tactical decisions that make strategic results. This is a touch point, and to be honest, and it was a touch point for Sommer and I, and it was one that we grabbed onto and we just held on. And we made mistakes, we fell down, we got back up, but this is a touch point.
Yeah.
If I've ever seen one. So.
Yeah, and we were able to build it, and we want to teach you how to build it while keeping your priorities in line, while building the life that you're going to start to envision, and to really get to know you and lean in together and to hear your stories and to help you share those stories and leave tracks. Leave those amazing tracks on this earth and in your family, and to be that support system for you and that catalyst, so to speak, for change. So you guys,
Tristan, it's called touch points. The touch points are just those seemingly insignificant moments in your life where you can say yes or you can say no, and they have dramatic results.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm going to let you guys go, but please do not hesitate to ask us questions, to ask your coach questions, to friend us on Facebook. You know, you might be like, I got to watch these people for a while because I'm not so sure about them. That's
Especially
fine.
that
Watch us for a while. Get to know us. Ask us more about our story. Let us learn about your story. Let's lean in together and get to know each other, connect. And I can't wait to the day that we get to hear your story and to really, really learn what your vision is in any way that we can help on anything, even if it's not necessarily to build this business. If there's any way that this team can serve you, don't you dare hesitate to reach out to us.
Yep.
All right, you guys? All right, y'all have a good night. Thank you so much for spending 45 minutes of your night with us. Talk to you guys later. See ya.